The conclave to elect a new pope begins Wednesday in Vatican City. Pope Francis died last month after serving for 12 years, but one of the longest-serving popes was John Paul II.
Yeah, his reign lasted 26 years, and during that time, he met a local man who you just might recognize. Tony has his story in today's all-new Show and Tell.
Very few people can claim to have ever met a pope from any era. One of those few, though, is our very own Joe Bathiathil, seen here with Pope John Paul II. So, how, where, when?
So this was in February of 2001. I was in Vatican City, and I had a chance to have a brief encounter with the Pope when my uncle became a cardinal in the Catholic Church.
What do you remember about this moment? You look very solemn.
Yeah.
And you look maybe a little bit nervous.
Yes. This is one of the maybe the most surreal moments of my life. You've got to remember, at this time, he had been the Pope for 23 years, I believe.
Yeah, one of the longest running popes.
It was the first one I ever met. And so all of a sudden to see him in a very kind of out-of-body kind of spiritual experience. Very unusual to see a person like that in the flesh. It was a very brief exchange. You wait in a line, you go up there, you literally kiss his ring. I kissed the Pope's ring.
Wow.
And then he gives you a blessing and you're on your way. And it was
so you just look him in the eye, but you're not talking at all.
I said, Your Holiness, which is how you address the Pope. On this occasion, there were 44 cardinals that were appointed all in one day.
Nice.
And so there were people from all over the world in Vatican City. And by the way, one of the other cardinals that was appointed was the man who would eventually become Pope Francis. He and my uncle were part of the same class of cardinals. And so that was, in retrospect now, to look back on it, not only did I meet one pope, but I was in the presence of a future pope as well.
Those of us who work with you have known that you had this encounter many years ago. And when I pictured what the picture would look like, I kind of assumed you would both be looking at the camera. Well, I guess you don't do one of these, you know.
No, it's not selfie time.
No, I mean, so it's like you really kind of like get serious pretty quickly there, it looks like. And of course, this is all, because of your uncles. You have a family connection. And I know that, you have a real interest in history, and it feels like, with this moment, it kind of puts you in a moment of history.
1,000%. And that is one thing I took away from that moment, is that this ceremony that I'm a part of, this is something that stretches back centuries, more than 1,000, almost 2,000 years.
Yeah.
And you kind of see those historical remnants that are still with us in these traditions that carry on into the 21st century. My uncle actually participated in a conclave, because not every cardinal gets the chance to participate in a conclave. You have to be under the age of 80, and of course there has to be an opening while you're a cardinal. So he participated in the conclave after Pope John Paul II passed, and was part of the conclave that elected Pope Benedict. I literally saw him a couple years after the conclave, and I asked him about it, and the only thing he would say was, it was an incredible, amazing spiritual experience. He wouldn't tell me who he voted for, who anyone else voted for, how the vote went.
Wow.
None of that. Even with his close relatives, he would not discuss the particulars about what happened in the Sistine Chapel during the conclave.
Well, you're not wearing a ring, so I won't kiss it, but this is as close as I've come to meeting a pope, so let me touch you there.
Thank you.
No, seriously, thank you for sharing this part of your family's history with us.
My
This is really cool.
Thanks, Tony.
And now, Sean, I'll
incredible.
touch you.
Thank you, and then I'll touch you.
There we go.
Well, that's so cool,
amazing.
and we know how much you love history. I mean, that's your huge, hobby, and so to really have been a part of such a special moment and the historical meaning
As I
behind
was
it.
saying to Tony, you do get that moment, especially like with the kissing of the ring.
Yeah.
That's a tradition that goes back to the Roman emperors. And I mean, these things that are still around today that go back to the ancient world. And then I was telling Tony, what was really unique about it was, there was a time, when you think the Vatican, you think Italy. But there were 44 cardinals, and they're from all over the world. In the case of my uncle in India, we met the cardinal from South Africa, the man who became Pope Francis from Argentina. It was like the World Cup, in that there was people from all over the world waving their flags, and when the cardinal from their country would go up, they would be singing in their native tongues, and that's it was a really kind of incredible international experience as well.
I'm glad you got to experience it as an adult too, rather than a child that wouldn't maybe remember.
And all that, and I still don't know how a conclave works.
Right? Well, it's too sacred to talk about.
I guess so.
That was really great.
Conclave stays
Stays in the
conclave.
conclave. Yeah, really neat. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
All right, let's